Everybody, Scout Crafter here on a absolutely beautiful rainy day. Thunder showers. Look at all that rain coming down, making everything nice and green. You gotta love it. Anyway, I have a really nice set of clamps that I don't think you've ever seen before. These are extremely rare, and I picked them up and I just got them the other day, and I'm pretty excited. So let's get downstairs and get started. Okay, of over maybe the more than 100 clamps I have, these are the most rare of all the clamps I have, and they're not extremely old. But what it is these were more or less almost prototypes. These were Langslow fast-acting or rapid clamps, and what's so interesting about these, they're patent pending. You could see here, patent pending. So they were under patent, going for a patent, but they didn't get any because by the time that I guess the patent came up, these things, they probably were too expensive and too well made for the environment that they were going to be used in. So, sometimes they put them out, see how they're going to do or whatnot. These are just beautiful clamps. I don't want to show you dirty clamps. Let me clean them up. We'll talk about them in a little while. Now, this was a basic wire brushing of all the steel parts. There was a surface rust on there, but because the steel was so high quality, there was no pitting whatsoever. That came off real easy. I had to use the Dremel to get in all them areas, including the gear notches for the mechanism that extends the rod. That you needed a Dremel to get in there. And then afterwards, we took it over and buffed it out because I just want that to really be smooth acting. Now, we were going to leave the original paint, but I saw some rust spots under it, and I can't have that. So off came the original paint. We took it down. And once we took it down, we basically down the bare metal, not the shiny bare, but like the primer. And then we put a nice coat of shellac on everything and let that sit for about 6 hours. Okay, the shellac is now dry. We are ready for paint. We're going to just wipe it down one more time with some denatured alcohol to make sure it's absolutely clean, and then we'll spray it. But one thing I want to point out is you must make sure everything is taped up that you don't want sprayed. Every rivet, every screw, everything, if you want a good paint job. Now, I really like this color that Rust-Oleum has. It's like a real machinist green color. And my favorite part, remember what it looked like before we started. And we're calling these clamps done. Did a nice paint on here, cleaned everything up. They did have a lot of surface rust on there, especially the backs here and whatnot. Polished up the drive mechanism, and let me show you why these clamps are such a wonderful design. Now, fast-acting or rapid-action clamps have been around for many years, and usually they're based on this type of design where you have a one or two devices that grip and clamp onto the sides of the threaded rod, allowing it to grip. These have pivot points here, and what you would do is you put this up, you push the handle in, and then you would tighten up and firm it up that way. It's okay, it works. It's been around for many years. It's not quite as strong as the one I'm about to show you, but this is basically the one you'll find, the one that has, and when you want to release it, you squeeze these two spring-loaded toggles in, pull it out, and you're back again. So to engage, you push this in, and then you would tighten it up with the handle here to get that final tightening. These are pretty decent, but the beauty of these is that the whole clamp, the whole forged clamp surrounds this metal rod. And this here, it's all machined, and you can see it's a machinist type. Everything is super smooth. And to engage it, you would do the same thing. You would push this in, and then when you get to the point, you would turn this toggle, and it would lock it in here. There's a threaded rod that goes all the way through the inside of that rod, and you could see here how that works. So smooth. It's again, you could tell the inventor of this clamp was a machinist because of just the machining applications that is added in here, and the way everything is done. There is nothing here. These are all machined. This is machined. There is, this is a machine part, not cast where most clamps are. The toggle here, the way it works, it's just, you could tell that it was done by somebody who was a machinist and not a typical casting. And you can see here, this is a very strong design. This is the 3-inch model. This is the 6-inch model. Same exact design, just a little bit larger. Let me show you how these work. Okay, so if you want to use the clamp and clamp up on something, very simply, press the clamp up, give it a couple turns, and because of the knurled action on this clamp here, you get tremendous force on here. We'll check that force in a minute. Same thing with the 6-inch model. Again, placing it up, press it in, give it a couple quick spins, and now you have very solid clamping device. Rapid action. Now, in case you're wondering how we compare clamps to see if one clamp works as well as another, we use what's called a force gauge. Now, years ago, these are used in industry all over the place, and now they've come out with electronic force gauges that use what's a load sensor. And when they came out with those, these pretty much became obsolete, although these work as well as the newer ones, sometimes better. But the companies went to the newer ones because they were cheaper, and I was able to pick these up, as you can, for a fraction of what they cost new. Now, how a force gauge works, basically, it's nothing but a dial indicator that's, you could see here, there's a positioned piece of metal here that when this clamp squeezes, you could see what happens. This has a 500-pound capacity, and right now I'm squeezing almost, there we go, 100 pounds from just my thumb and forefinger between them. But you're going to use it over here. Okay, so here is where you get your pressure. And I can't do 100 pounds there, but I'm just showing you at this end you could. So between this ball and this little nut here, threaded hole, that's where we're going to check the clamp pressure. Now first I'll show you one of my old Cincinnati clamps with the bat wing design. And we have it clamped here between the ball and the threaded hole down there. And you can see I'm already up to almost, there's a 150 pounds. And by just torquing down on this bat wing clamp, I can get 500 pounds of pressure. See, we're up to 500, a little over 500 pounds just using that bat wing configuration. So these clamps do give you a great amount of pressure. Okay, here we have the Langslow on there, and I want to see if I can get the same amount of pressure on this quick release clamp, and you can see we're already up to 250. I'm just going to give it a quick turn, and yes, you can see we can go over 500 pounds with this quick release clamp. So they are extremely strong for a quick release clamp. So in closing, you can see why I'm such a fan of these rapid action clamps. They're quick. They're just beautifully made with the machine surfaces. They work so well. And if you get a chance to pick these up, these aren't cheap. These I paid more than almost all my clamps that I own. Usually I pick up a clamp for $4 or $5. I paid $25 each for these clamps. So I have 2 more upstairs in the original condition, but I restored these to what they would have looked like new out of the factory, and these are just so beautiful. Hope you enjoyed the restoration. Thanks very much for tuning in, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.